Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to the Leadership Press podcast. My name is Mike Z. I'll be your host, and I'm so thankful for all of the leaders who have been so encouraging in their feedback as we have kicked off and launched this project, this initiative. I'm so grateful for you. Leadership comes with weight, comes with a lot of pressure, comes with a lot of responsibility. And as leaders, we don't want to be crushed by that pressure. We want to press in, we want to press back, and we want to grow, we want to develop. It's in the pressing that the oil is produced, that purpose is revealed. And so here we are on the first of every month, just producing leadership content, hopefully that benefits and blesses you. So thanks for checking this out today. Take a moment to like, comment, subscribe, and thankful for you. So as mentioned, it's January 1st. It's 2026. Here we are. And people are setting goals and launching initiatives like podcasts and maybe getting back into the gym. And so really asking the question for this year, like how are we going to grow? How are we going to develop? What are we going to optimize this year? Like what are the things that I'm committing myself to? And so I want to share just a couple of thoughts and key insights and concepts that have been helpful for me this time of year. And man, you don't have to wait for January 1st to start over, to start something new, but it is a good time of year to do that. And so today I just want to share a few quick things, and I guess here's even some of my own wrestlings and challenges in this process. This time of year, again, looking at our calendars, setting goals for the year, there is no shortage of information available to us, right? Like if you want to know something, I mean, just at your fingertips, you have the world of information accessible to you. Google it, and now with the power of AI, my gosh, it's off the charts. And so there are like a million different frameworks. And I'm sure, I'm not the only person here that's going to be sharing information like this with you. And so for me, the challenge isn't like, trying to find the information, but it's taking all of that information and filtering it through my own lens and my own context and finding like what works best for me. And so like with all of this content that we're putting out, that's my challenge and encouragement to you is like, what works best for you? Growing that muscle of being able to, hey, I can chew the fish and spit out the bones. And so for me, some of the stuff I want to share today, it's not overly complex because I find that my brain, I feel like it can get really overwhelmed. Like things get really complex very quickly. And so I am always trying to simplify things. It's like the growing up in elementary school, the KISS method, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Like that's what I want to do here today. And so what I want to share with you may not be anything super enlightening, but I hope that it's helpful for you, and it's something that's been helpful for me. So come on, let's dive in. So before we get to kind of our primary content, the main points for today, I kind of want to lay a foundation for you, especially as a leader, and want to give you this core concept of as you're working through, maybe you've already done it, and maybe you're going back to your plans, or maybe you're starting this process of, hey, what is this next year going to look like? I think one of the most powerful things for me has been looking at it from a lens of not necessarily what do I want to accomplish, but more identity-based in the sense of like, who do I want to become? What is the kind of leader that I want to become this year? Because the new year, it's not just about new habits. It's not just about beginnings, though it is. It's really about becoming. Man, what kind of leader do you want to become this year? And so one of the powerful exercises that you can do and that I've done is by simply writing out the phrase like, I'm the kind of leader who, And then fill in the blank. I'm the kind of leader who shows up consistently for my team. I'm the kind of leader who exercises generosity in all things. Like starting with that statement can be so foundational. I think we have to start with this idea and thought of identity, because you got to recognize that the day and age in which we live, like there is a current, like our attention, our focus is so valuable, and it's being pulled in a million different directions, right? Like there's companies and organizations that spend billions of dollars to grab your attention and to influence your actions. There's this quote from tech philosopher Jaron Lanier that says, "What might once have been called advertising must now be understood as continuous behavior modification on a titanic scale." Man, that's a profound and powerful statement. Like this idea that like you are on a trajectory. Like at the end of 2026, like you're gonna become someone, right? And so what is the pathway that you're being led down? When you envision your life at the end of this year, you envision yourself, and even thinking further ahead, you envision yourself, 10, 20, 50 years from now, like who do you see yourself becoming? And we have to be really intentional with this, because if you're not intentional with who it is, especially as a leader, that you want to become, like the version of yourself that you so desire, then you will most certainly be formed and influenced by something or someone or something else in our world today. So, man, simply just starting with this identity idea of who am I becoming? I'm the kind of leader who, and fill in the blank and work through this exercise. All right, so let's talk about starting, right? It's the beginning of the year. A lot of things, a lot of new habits, a lot of things you maybe want to start this year. And so one of the things that I want to encourage you in is to take messy action. This concept, this principle has been so freeing for me. And it started with this idea of, I don't know if you've ever heard of the idea of like, hey, take massive action. It's something that I've heard time and time again, and I completely understand and get the heart behind it, right? Like if you want to accomplish something, you want to do something as you're starting it, like, hey, like action is the thing that makes progress, right? So like take massive action. But honestly, for me, that phrase tends to have like an opposite effect of what I think it's originally intended to do. Like the idea of taking massive action actually leaves me feeling paralyzed. And I'll explain why. I am a perfectionist by nature. I'm a perfectionist at heart. And so like I never really feel like the conditions are perfect, like I never feel ready, right? Like always kind of afraid a little bit of this idea of failure, or, I want to do my best to plan and prepare and for things to be just right before I start or move forward. And my goodness, like this is one of my leadership challenges and is something that slows me down a lot. And so, instead of helping me move forward, like the idea of take massive action actually leaves me feeling paralyzed, like it freezes me. And so as I have like examined myself in this, the thing that I've learned, and I think it's maybe Winston Churchill who originally said it, I don't know, but the phrase perfection is the enemy of progress. Perfection is the enemy of progress. And not just that, but so perfection is the enemy of progress, but also progress is the greatest motivator. There is something about us as humans and how we're wired with seeing progress being made. So important as a leader. That's why you got to celebrate the wins. That's why you got to track things. And there's something about, hey, when I see progress, that that encourages me, gives me new life. It motivates me even more. And so there's this loop and cycle that I often have to like not get trapped in, not get caught in, because if you're focused on perfection, you will struggle to make progress, right? Perfection is the enemy of progress. So if you're always focused on things being perfect, you'll struggle to make progress. And if you never make progress, well, then you're never going to actually feel motivated to do the thing. And so it's like this loop that you stay in, right? Focused on perfection, I never make progress. And because I'm never making any progress, I never actually feel motivated to do the thing. And I think that, as leaders, that's definitely like one of the myths sometimes that we can fall into, that there even is such a thing as like perfect conditions. Oh man, if the timing was just better. Like if I had more clarity, my goodness, if we could all just have more clarity on what we're trying to do, right? If my schedule could just slow down for a little bit, And so we fall into this idea that like, man, we're waiting for the perfect conditions to move forward. And there's actually a verse in the Bible that references this and speaks to this. It's in the book of Ecclesiastes. And it basically says that like the farmers who wait for perfect weather, like they never plant. It says like if the farmer watches every cloud, like they're never going to harvest. If you're watching every cloud, it's like, oh man, that could be a storm cloud, that could be rain. Like if you're waiting for perfect weather, like then you never actually plant, you never actually reap a harvest. And so this is one of the things that I've been embracing and have given me a lot of freedom, is just by simply going, what if instead of taking massive action, which again leaves me feeling paralyzed, what if I gave myself permission to take messy action, right? So instead of taking massive action, what if we just committed to like, hey, this isn't going to go perfect. This is going to be messy, but we're going to figure it out along the way. Because I think that taking massive action, for me, it assumes clarity. To take massive action assumes that like, well, I have the plan and the path, like the trajectory has already been set. All I've got to do is just run with it, right? So massive action, it assumes that clarity is there, but I think that messy action is the thing that actually creates the clarity that I need. It's the movement, it's the momentum, it's starting, it's going, that as you go, like clarity begins to reveal itself. And honestly, I would rather be in the messiness of action than in the cleanliness of inaction. I'd rather be in the messiness of action than in the cleanliness of inaction. My kitchen stays very clean when I never cook anything. The cleanest my kitchen is when we've never cooked. However, when the kitchen is a complete mess, that is often a sign that it's been one of the best meals we've ever made. And so this idea of taking messy action, sure, like it's not going to be perfect. And there's no such thing as perfect conditions. Again, it's a myth. But if you're always focused on perfection, like it's really hard to take that massive action and to get moving forward. And if you're afraid of failure, it could be, there's going to be things 5, 10, 15 steps ahead of you that like it's impossible to see the future. You don't know all of the conditions and the things that are coming up. And so failure might actually be the very thing that you need in order to succeed. Like there might be something along step 5, 6, 7, 8 that like we could have never predicted, but is actually going to be the thing that is the catalyst for this exploding and going off, right? But you'll never discover that if you don't start. If you're always waiting for the perfect conditions to start. And so let me ask you this one thing. What is one thing that maybe you're thinking about starting this year, something that you want to start, but like you've been holding back because you feel like, man, I don't have the perfect plan yet. I don't have, this fully thought out just yet. And I love plans. Failing to plan is planning to fail, right? Like I am all for planning, strategizing, all of that. But this is what worked for me is I need to give myself permission. Like, hey, I'm going to start this thing and it's going to be really messy at first. And I'm going to adjust as I go and figure it out. Launching a podcast, I wanted this thing to be perfect. I wanted to have all of the pieces and the elements figured out that I was going to do with this thing. But I gave myself permission, just start the thing. And so I'm making adjustments along the way. I'm trying to figure it out. I've got a different lighting setup today, and I don't know if it's going to stay. I don't even know if I fully like it, but I didn't have this figured out last time. But you just got to start, allow yourself to be in the mess, because somewhere along the way, man, being in the mess is where you find the gold, where you might find the very thing that you need in order to succeed. Take messy action. Number 2, I'm going to give you the 4S principle. The 4S principle is what we'll call it today. And it's simply this: simple systems stay steady. Simple systems stay steady. It's great that we take messy action and we get started, but the gold is when you're able to systematize whatever it is that you've started. And I mean, this is James Clear. This is Atomic Habits all over it. If you haven't read that book, what are you even doing with your life? But he says that we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. And so you've got a goal, you've started something, talking about who you're going to become this year. Man, you got to build a system around it, right? Your systems in your life, in your leadership, in your personal life, your systems are perfectly designed to produce the results that you're currently getting. Think about your life and how it's operating, okay? The issue is we get so fixated on the outcome. Everybody wants the gold. Nobody wants the grind, right? Like we want to see the outcome change. We want to accomplish and see our goals fulfilled. We all have that. But the secret ingredient, the key to that, is building the system that allows for that outcome, allows for that goal to be accomplished. And I think most leaders don't get overwhelmed because of a lack of discipline. I think, at least for me, I think a lot of leaders, we overwhelm ourselves because we build overly complex plans. We've got really big goals, very ambitious. We've got detailed strategies, and we've got zero sustainability. Like starting, I know we just talked all about, take messy action, but honestly, like starting isn't a superpower. I think staying steady and consistent is. Like anybody can start something. Anybody can start a podcast. Anybody can start the business. Anybody can start a diet. Anybody can start the workout plan. Anybody can start a marriage. Anybody can start a relationship. And good leaders can start something. Great leaders stay. They know how to stay consistent and stay steady with it. Most people don't have a starting problem. They have a keep going problem. Here we are at the beginning of the new year, right? Did you know that 80% of gym January joiners, those who join the gym and sign up in January, 80% of them will be gone by the second week of February. Some studies show that only 2% of those who sign up in January will stay for the long haul. Only 2%. That's wild. And you know why that is? It's because so many people choose intensity over consistency. Set these overly ambitious goals for themselves, right? And they've got these really intense initial workout plans, and it just leads them to burnout. Intensity is the headline. Like intensity is the highlight reel. It's the thing that's sexy. It's the thing that draws our attention. It's the thing, I'm going to run the marathon. I'm going to lose X amount of pounds this year. I'm going to lose this weight, whatever. It's the thing that captures our attention. That's what intensity is. But consistency is the quiet author of that story. Like intensity is the thing that gets the attention, but consistency is the thing that actually gets results. And so we got to be able to build a system that helps us stay consistent. This is a motto that I'm trying to live my life by more and more. I want to choose consistency over intensity. I want to choose consistency over intensity this year. It's not about how intense you can go, especially the older that I get. It's about how consistent can you be. I think as a leader, one of the greatest compliments that you can actually get is, hey, I see that you're really consistent. I take that as one of the highest honors, hearing that from somebody. And look, the more simple the system is, the easier it is to stay, the easier it is to stay steady. Simple systems stay steady. And look, simple doesn't mean easy, right? Just because something is simple doesn't mean that it's easy. It simply just means that it's sustainable. And so maybe for this year, you're wanting to get healthier, wanting to exercise more. Maybe don't jump to the I'm going to work out every single day. Not jumping to the I'm going to run 3 marathons this year, but simply just, make it simple. It's not the difference. It's the difference between, hey, I'm going to do 100 push-ups a day versus, hey, I want to do 5 push-ups a day. If you set the goal of doing 100 push-ups a day, you might start out intense, might start out strong. Maybe you're doing, 10 here, 10 there throughout the day, but there is going to come a day where work's going to go long, something's going to come up in your schedule or with your family, and it's going to be bedtime for you, and you're going to have to be making this decision, man, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and I don't want to do 100 push-ups right now. And so by not completing that, man, you so quickly begin to lose your motivation and so quickly can fall off track. But if it's simple, hey, I'm going to do 5 push-ups a day. What ends up happening is, one, that's so easy. And so by simply just saying, hey, on that day where, hey, I can do 5 push-ups today, it's you're still checking the box and you don't miss a day and you keep going and you carry that momentum. And oftentimes what happens is, hey, I'm down here doing 5 push-ups. Might as well do another 5 more. Maybe I'll do another 10 more today. And so you want to keep your systems as simple as possible, because the more complex your system becomes, the quicker your motivation will collapse. The more complexity there is in whatever the system is that you're building, the quicker the motivation to complete that thing is going to collapse. Because again, your brain is this super powerful computing processor that is constantly trying to problem solve. It's always trying to conserve energy and always trying to optimize. And so when you create an overly complex system for yourself, it's if your brain, you only have a certain amount of energy. And if your brain has to work to compute, to figure out this complex system, you're only going to have a minimal amount of energy after working through all of that. But if the system is simple, if I don't need much to figure this thing out, I've got all of this reserved energy now that I can utilize to actually execute and follow through on whatever it is that I'm accomplishing today. So keeping it simple, as leaders, I think we can be overly ambitious. Ambition is great. I think that's wonderful. But it's real easy through that ambition to overwhelm ourselves, to overwhelm our teams with these massively complex plans, right? And so, I guess just maybe asking yourself some questions. What is the simplest path to progress? Whatever the goal is, whoever it is I want to become, what is the minimum version of this habit that I can actually sustain? On the days when I'm tired, on my worst days, when I'm, I feel off, when I didn't eat good or whatever, like on those days, what is the least, like what can I actually follow through on and do on that? Because everybody has great days. Everybody shows up on the days when it's sunny and wonderful, but on the days when it's cloudy and rough, like what are you able to still accomplish on those days? And so, as leaders, just, maybe looking and choosing like what is one area of focus, what's one rhythm, what's one habit that I'm able to build a simple system around for this year in order to stay consistent with it, in order to stay steady. Speaking of staying steady and staying consistent, I want to wrap up here with our final kind of thought idea, and I think this is the most vital. I think this is like the secret ingredient, and I honestly think like this truly is like the real difference maker. This is the thing that creates the gap. This is the thing that separates good leaders from great leaders, and it's simply the bounce back. It's the bounce back. Like, what is your bounce back ability? Yes, take messy action and start and build, a simple system around it. We can all start the thing and we can start out strong and we can stay consistent at first, right? But at some point, like something's going to come up and you're going to fall off track. And so the question is, how quickly can you bounce back? How quickly can you bounce back? Again, nobody's perfect. Every leader like misses a day at some point. We drop a ball at some point. We fall out of our rhythm at some point. Like life just kind of takes over and gets loud. And this has been one of the things that has caught my attention this year. My wife and I joined the gym back in January of this year. So we're coming up on a year and very proud of us. I feel like we have been fairly consistent. But honestly, the greatest challenge has been and it's been really surprising for me, the level of interruptions in our schedule. Things that we just didn't plan on or plan for, and things that you just can't foresee. Something as simple as getting sick. A couple of times throughout this year that, I caught a cold or, something, caught the flu, something hit me and took me out for a couple of days. And the amount of energy it took to bounce back, to get back into routine, to get back into rhythm, to get back into the gym, And so I think the difference for leaders and for individuals, it's not necessarily failure. Like it's not dropping the ball. It's not missing a day. The real difference is the reset. Because what most people, I think a lot of people do, and what is really easy to do is you miss a day and a day turns into a week. You miss a week can so easily turn into a month. And before you know it, like all of that momentum that you have built up is gone. Not because you're a failure, just because you simply never restarted. You never bounced back. You never got back into the rhythm. I think the leaders who grow the most are really the ones who have mastered the art of the quick reset, mastered the art of the bounce back. Like, when something goes wrong, doesn't go according to plan, when they find, they miss a day, they miss a workout, they miss whatever, like it's the leaders that grow the most, they're not like, they don't spiral, they don't shame themselves, they don't try to over course correct with a lot of intensity. They simply just go, okay, that was a miss. What can I learn from it? And they start again. They keep going. They get back on, keep, back into it. And I think there's there's something really powerful about the kind of leader who simply just, don't ignore it, acknowledge it. Okay, hey, missed a day, missed a couple of days. That wasn't great. But listen, starting tomorrow, I'm back at it. I'm back at it again. Here we go. Consistency, again, it's not about perfection. It's about your recovery speed. How quickly can you recover? How quickly can you get back to it? The faster you're able to reset, the less ground you're able to lose. And especially when you're looking at a large timeline, something like a year or a decade, of course. But the longer the time, right? Even over the span of a year, a couple of days at the end of that year it's just a tiny little blip. Like it really, if you're consistent with your systems and with staying on top of it, you can allow yourself to miss a couple of days here and there, and it's really not going to have that much of an impact over the course of a year. But if you get to a certain point and you fall off track and you never fully recover, that will have massive impact. And so, I think this is something that's so important in every aspect and area of our lives. This is something that matters spiritually, it matters emotionally, it matters physically. This is something we can apply in our leadership, in our marriages, in our parenting, like every area of life, in whatever it is that you've been entrusted with, whatever it is that you're trying to steward. Stewardship isn't about perfection. It's not about, never dropping a ball, but it's simply about how quickly can I pick it back up. It's like the 5-second rule of leadership. You drop a piece of food on the ground. Hey, if it's been on the ground 5 seconds or less, it's still good. Picking it back up, eating it, Whatever the thing is this year that you're trying to accomplish, like maybe implement a 5-second rule in your leadership. What's the shortest amount of time? How quickly can you allow yourself to, hey, I missed a day at the gym. That was my 5 seconds, but I'm getting back to it. I'm going to keep going. I'm still going strong. And so, man, mastering the bounce back this year, focusing on that, strengthening that muscle, I think will have profound and huge implications on your life and on your leadership. Well, it's going to be a great year. Hopefully you've got some tools to help you out now this year in 2026. Excited for you, expectant for all that this year has in store for you. And thanks so much for checking out the podcast today. If this content has been helpful for you, would love for you to share it with somebody. It's available on YouTube and on Spotify. Please like, comment, subscribe to this so you never miss an episode. And so grateful and thankful for our community of leaders as we continue to press in. Now, we just want to simply get better day by day as leaders, little by little. We don't have this thing figured out completely. This isn't a perfect process here, but we're pressing in, we're leaning in, we're trying to get better and trying to grow and develop more and seeing that pressure as a privilege. But love you, grateful for you. Hope you have the best year, and we'll see you next month on the Leadership Press podcast.